good afternoon to you all, man. This is your boy, the Boxing Lowdown here, and we're here for episode number 77 of the Boxing Lowdown podcast. Delighted to be joined, as always, by my main man, the co-host, my father, the Laurie from AFTV in the building. What's going on, man?
I'm okay, man. Although I have to report that this week's been a bit unfortunate for myself. Didn't feel too great during the week. Had a couple of shows to do with some people at AFTV. I thought, given that I'm going to be in close proximity with people, let me take a COVID test. Took a COVID test on Tuesday, and lo and behold, I tested positive for COVID. Second time in 18 months. Yeah. So I'm feeling a little bit down on my luck, man. But what I would say about this turnaround, it's not so far anyway. It's not been anywhere near as debilitating as the last one. Although I do feel a little bit under the weather today. I think it's because I've been sleeping so much, and you know what it's like when you're not doing nothing. You're at home, and 1 minute you feel hot, next minute you feel a bit cold. It's a bit downcast mood-wise, but other than that, I'm not too bad. Hence why I'm able to do the show. I was actually looking forward to doing the show today. Actually, put my mind elsewhere. It's not just thing to sit down and not do nothing and just feel sorry for yourself. So.
Yeah, just to know, I did ask whether we should do today. It's depending on how you're feeling, but it was you that said, "Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it." So
man, let's do it. I'm fluid up. Got my water. Got my tea. Tea, by the way, is very good for ailments like this. Natural teas and stuff like that. So I'm hoping that in the next few days, I'll slowly but surely come out of it, and I'll be okay. But second time around for me, man. And I'm double jabbed. So anyway, we won't dwell on that.
Michael Maxwell in the comments here says, "Big up, Daryl. Laurie, I hope you're feeling better, bro, and the Boxing Lowdown family." Big up to Michael Maxwell, man. Ian Hamilton has said here, "Evening all, let's get this going." Francisco
let's go.
Francisco says here, "Good morning, brothers. Hope you get well soon, Laurie." Obviously, Francisco's over there he's in Arizona, isn't he? So the time difference is a bit mad over there compared to here. Conrad has said, "Good evening. Finally able to catch your show live. Yeah, it's been a while." Big up Harvey as well. He said here, "Good evening, gents." Big up Punch Smollett in the building. He's put, "Hello, lads. Are you lot excited about the Canelo undercard?" Yeah, the Canelo undercard's not too bad, man. It's not too bad.
I'll tell you what, it's better than the Tyson Fury-Whyte undercard.
That undercard is terrible, man. But look, let's get straight into it. Look, I know we're not going to take too much time today. Obviously, we won't be too long. Yeah. But let's get into last weekend, first of all. Savannah Marshall obviously she fought Fenke Hermans. She won that. Was it third round knockout? It was. Brilliant one-punch knockout from Savannah Marshall, man. Claressa Shields entered the ring after. It's looking like that fight will take place in the summer. Great news for everyone involved. Your thoughts on Savannah Marshall's performance and the fact that Claressa Shields is next and how you see that fight going?
Right, okay. So starting from the top, I thought it was a good performance from Savannah Marshall. I mean, obviously she got the highlight KO win, which is, the shot that's going to get shown again and again and around the world and all that. But I have to say, up until that point, her actual boxing skills that she exhibited, I wasn't blown away. I'm just going to keep it 100. But listen, man, I mean, the opponent was undersized. Apparently she came in at late notice. It was pretty obvious from the get-go that we lost you there for a minute.
No, I'm still here.
Yeah, it was pretty obvious from the get-go that Savannah Marshall was going to win. I mean, everything was all geared up for her to win, and she won well. So you can't take that away from her. I think some people are getting a bit carried away with a knockout, though. Calling her the hardest puncher ever, and Claressa don't stand a chance, and once she touches her, it's all over, and I just thought that was nonsense. Whether it's to sell the fight or not, I don't know. But people who know boxing understand that victory for what it is. It was a victory against an undersized, undermatched opponent. Yes, people are going to say Claressa fought her 4 years ago and could only get a point to him. But, bro, 4 years in boxing is a hell of a long time. And Savannah Marshall was always going to win. So I didn't really take too much from it because we knew that Savannah Marshall can punch. And she's quite a unique female fighter in that regard, because most female fighters do not get their opponents out of it. It's quite rare, isn't it?
Maybe that's why people are excited about and think that she might have a decent chance against Claressa, considering she's beaten her before.
Yeah, she has beaten her before when she was 17. I think that was like 10 years ago. And listen, Daryl, we've been in the game long enough now to know that defeats in the amateurs or people getting one over on somebody in sparring in no way necessitates what's going to happen in a real fight. So I tend not to take too much of my opinion from that. What I would say about that is that I've never seen Claressa as motivated.
Yeah.
So it looks like all the smack talk between them is, it's got Claressa insanely motivated for this fight. And as long as she don't get too carried away, I would put my money clearly on Claressa Shields.
Here's
I
a
just
comment.
think the skill level is levels above Savannah Marshall. I know some people are going to disagree with me, and that's fine. And you know what? If people say she's got a good chance to knock her out, then fair enough. Because remember, I said similar thing about Wilder with Fury. I said that, Wilder's got the capability to knock Fury out. He didn't, but he came close. So it could be a similar thing when these two girls fight. But based on what I've seen, I've followed the career trajectories. I studied my boxing. I studied the fighters. To me, Claressa Shields is levels above in terms of skill. You just got to watch some of her fights, man. Some of them she does is a lot of women they're not on that level.
Stefan says here, and it's true because this comment here, I told you this off the record as well. Like I'm seeing a lot of people picking Marshall to win. Barely seeing anyone picking Claressa. And I'm like, is this just patriotism? Like we're guilty of that? Is it just that? Because I'm thinking, where are you? Yeah, she can punch, but how are you just suddenly dismissing like Claressa Shields' chances here, considering what she's done? Let me pull up a tweet that I found the other day. Just on my I retweeted it off the boxing account, and this tweet says, just for context, looking at pro careers, both have had 12 fights, and here was their combined records. Shields 166, so this is the opponents that she's faced. Claressa Shields 166 wins, 16 losses, 6 defeats. Marshall, in comparison, the 12 fighters that she's fought had 97 wins, 116 losses, and 13 draws. You can't even compare those two resumes. So I'm just I'm quite surprised at the amount of people picking Marshall to win. But then again, like we said, it's just probably patriotism and the fact that people don't like Claressa Shields.
Patriotism, not liking the foreigner, the big bad foreigner rolls into town very mouthy as Claressa Shields is. That's got to put a lot of people's backs up. And let's be honest as well, a lot of people, and I see it, I get where it's coming from, they say you're only as good as your last fight. So if they see Savannah Marshall absolutely ice some girl, a girl that they then found out that Claressa Shields went the distance with, the natural tendency, especially amongst the casuals, is to say, oh, definitely Marshall's going to knock her out. But me and you know, Darryl, that in the ring, it's a bit different to that. You've got to land those punches to knock Claressa out. You've also got to be careful what's coming back. Because let's face it, the way Savannah Marshall stepped to Femke Hermans that night, you could see that she had no respect for her power, her boxing ability. She just walked her down. I don't think she's going to be able to do that with Claressa Shields. And so straight away, that takes away some of her arsenal. You know what I mean? So totally different fight. But I am looking forward to it.
Stefan says here, do you think that Marshall and Shields will be pay-per-view over here? Surely not for me, as it would bomb, but Sky are drumming it up a lot. Good question.
That is a good question. I think what Sky will do is try and gauge the interest, because if you notice that they're drip feeding all these interviews and these little flashbacks, and they're talking to this one and that one, and it's all good, man. It's all good. And then nearer the time, if they think that there's a market for pay-per-view, then they might do that, maybe at a reduced price than some of the others. But I hope it isn't. And I'll tell you why, because to me anyway, forget about Taylor Serrano. This is the biggest fight in women's boxing, without a doubt. Not even close for me. Yeah,
I agree.
So to put it on pay-per-view, you're actually potentially going to take away of a lot of people that might watch it or might watch it live. And what you're going to do is force people to stream. You know what I mean? So I hope it's on terrestrial TV, and I hope Sky, that is. And I'm hoping to try and get along to that fight, to be honest. If they hold it in London, which Claressa Shields is wanting, and I, fully respect her right to do that, then How about me and you go down there, Daryl? You know what I mean?
Oh, I'll be on that 100%. 100%. Some good takes here from people with regards to the fight. Michael Maxwell, let me go back to his comment. He said here, Shields has the skills, but I can see Marshall with her power being able to score flash knockdowns and win the decision. Remember, the fight is over here. With the rounds being so short, I think that Shields will always be chasing the fight. Harvey says here, I expect Shields to cause Marshall problems early with her movement and angles, but I think eventually she'll catch up to her, leading to a late stoppage. Not as one-sided for Savannah as some say. So these are good takes. These are people that are, they know their boxing. Wow. They're in this group, so they're not being biased. That's one-sided.
Have they not seen Claressa Shields?
No, he's saying it's not going to be as one-sided as people.
No, but what I'm saying, the fact that the one-sided thought even entered their mind in the first place, to me, is ridiculous. Because whatever you say about Claressa, you could say that she doesn't punch it hard, but her skills level, it's apparent when you watch them. Her skills, the things that she does, the head movement, the combinations, the footwork, is on a different level to Savannah Marshall. You know what I mean? It really is. So for people to say not as one-sided, I'm like, rah.
But you seen this? Marshall, is she odds on with the bookies? Wow.
I think that's because a lot of people, the fight is going to be here, and I think a lot of people are putting their money on Savannah Marshall. So that would have, you know about these things, Daryl. Then the price, that affects the odds, you know what I mean? But listen, man, I think it's a 60-40 or even 70-30 fight to Claressa Shields. I give Savannah Marshall a puncher's chance, similar to what I give Dillian against Fury. You know what I mean? So, in other words, what I'm saying is, it wouldn't be out of the ordinary if Savannah Marshall lands a big shot and wobbles Claressa, puts her down, has her in trouble, and forces the stoppage or whatever. Although I have to say, I've not really seen Claressa Shields in trouble. I mean, I know she got decked. I think that was a flash knockdown. She got straight back up and dominated her opponent. So you can't say she's got a weak chin. And we know from the footage, Claressa Shields spars a lot of guys. I'm sure Savannah Marshall does as well. And I think Clarissa's going, you could tell by her body language, I don't think it's fake. She's got no fear of Savannah. She's wanted this fight for a long time.
Yeah.
So listen, man, I'm looking forward to the fight, but I'm surprised, even given the fact that Savannah Marshall's from this country and she's got that sort of highlight reel knockout in her last fight. But I'm surprised that some of them now, I saw something from Eddie Hearn the other day. I'm like, what? What are you talking about? So yeah, apparently apparently Claressa Shields is not best pleased with Eddie Hearns about that comment as well. You can imagine what she said about it. But yeah, but anyway, man, you know what? It's a great fight, and it's boxing, isn't it? So you know what it's like, man. Once that bell goes, the lights come on. Pretty much anything can happen. But if you put me on the spot here and now, I would say Claressa Shields by a wide points margin, 3, 4, 5 rounds.
Big up WM, I see you in the building, bro. Big up Ian Hamilton. He says here, Shields hasn't had the career she has been one. Shields hasn't had the career she has by being one-dimensional. Marshall will have to try and pick her punch as well and not let Shields dictate the fight. Punch Mullet, he's not really feeling Claressa Shields. He's put here, I can't forget her comments after her uncle cowardly knocked out an elderly man. That was at the fight at that time, wasn't it?
That was, I think it was, and I think she denied that it was one of her family, didn't she? And then it later turned out that she was related to the guy. I think what happened was it was at a press conference for one of her fights. I think she was fighting Habazin, the Croatian girl.
Yeah, that's it.
And what happened is the two camps got into it.
That was pretty low.
And then I think Habazin's trainer got in the face of one of Claressa Shields' sister, started calling her some derogatory names to do with her sexuality. And then one of Claressa Shields' family members snuck in there, sucker punched him, and damaged him quite badly. So that was a very disgusting and disgraceful incident. And I think Claressa Shields got a lot of stick because, number one, she tried to deny it was one of her family members. She said she didn't know who it was or whatever. But then secondly, she didn't really condemn it as much, did she? The way people were expected. So people accuse her of having a bit of a lack of class. Listen, Claressa Shields is not everyone's cup of tea. And I'm going to be honest with you, and me and you have had these conversations before. She said some things that have got me pretty wound up as well. We're going, disrespecting fighters like Keith Thurman and saying, yeah, I could beat him and stuff. And you know what I mean? So she can get carried away with her mouth a little bit, man. Sometimes a lot. And I know in England, we're a bit different to America. We don't always appreciate people running their mouth like that. So she can come across a certain way. But I do like her, man. I remember watching her win her first gold medal at just 17 years old. And then she repeated it again in London in 2012. You know what I mean? I think she's had something like 70 fights in total and lost one. And that was to Savannah Marshall when she basically just picked up the sport.
Yeah.
So, no, listen, man, she's a top fighter.
Yeah. Good for away from that, man. I mean, in the ring, can't really knock her achievements, man. Yeah, she's not the best outside the ring at times, but inside the ring, man, I've got utmost respect for her accomplishments, man. It's great what she's done. But
no, I do like her outside the ring as well. I want to make that clear. I like her persona. I like her braggadociousness. Yes, sometimes it goes a bit too far, but then you can say the same thing for Tyson Fury. There's a lot of people, right? Check this out, who have a lot to say about how Clarissa carries on, but they'll tell you that, oh, what's your favorite fight? Oh, Tyson Fury. Oh, come on now. You know what I mean? Make that make sense. Yeah. You know what I mean? You can't pick and choose like that. Come on now. So listen, she has said some wayward stuff. And listen, these people are human beings. They're not always the most politically correct. They're not almost the most sensible in certain situations. And they're fighters at the end of the day, especially so when there's fights coming up, you tend to see that have you noticed that? Whenever there's a fight coming up, these people get in a certain mindset. Some people might describe it as mental warfare, and they say certain things that on another day, in another time, in a different situation, they wouldn't be talking like that. So, there you go.
Yeah. Moving on, man, we've got a lot. There's quite some fights to look forward to this week, as Stefan's pointed out here. Erickson Lubin and Sebastian Fundora obviously fighting this week. You've got your boy, Laurie, Ryan Garcia. He'll be fighting this week. He'll be making his return to the ring. And
I can't wait.
I wanted to speak on the Triple G comment that you made last week, man, because it got a lot of traction, that comment did. And, quite a few people actually agreed with what you said. So I want to talk about it again. Just, whether you feel that he is a great fighter or not. When I look at it, you look at the resume from just a stamp, just looking at the resume, you think, boy, you know what? There's not really that many names on there. So how could I call him great? But then you look at the title defenses, you look at the knockout streak, you look at, he had a very distinguished amateur career as well. Overall 2-time middleweight champion, could be unified champion at 40 this weekend. Does that not qualify as a great fighter to you? Just your opinion.
For me, no. But I can understand why some people would say that, because let's face it, Daryl, I'm a lot older than you, obviously. But I could tell you straight away, we are living in an era where everybody seems to be great off the back of a few performances. And what I said about Triple G last week is that if you actually analyze his wins, there's not that many that stand out to me, right? And then even some of those wins that he's got over people like Jacobs, over people like Deryevchenko, to me, he did not win those fights. Yes, they're in the record books as wins, but we know what it is, man. You know what I mean? What's his best win against? David Lemieux, we said last week, wasn't it?
We said Danny Jacobs, didn't we? Or
yeah, but the Danny Jacobs thing, I don't think he won that fight.
Yeah, but then we said he beat Canelo, but we weren't counting that. So
yeah, we can't count that because statistically he didn't win the fight. So even if we wanted to, we can't say, we could say we thought he won. Now I thought he edged it the first fight. I'm not going to lie. So listen, maybe if he was given that victory, then I might be more inclined to say yeah, but he didn't. You know what I mean? And in the second fight, he lost comfortably. I don't know what all these people are coming out saying he lost both fights. But
do you think he lost comfortably the second fight? I don't know about comfortably. I thought that was really
clear elevation. I think it was clear. As a man that's watched boxing since I was down here and continue to watch boxing, I think there was clear elevation, bro. I really do. I think Canelo did the better work. Listen, the 12 rounds were pretty much all competitive. But for me, there was clear elevation. And it was in favor of Canelo. And listen, you know me, man. I'm not Canelo's biggest fan at times. So I'm going to speak it like I see it. To me, Canelo beat him. And the difference in that fight, as I said on your show last week, was that props to Canelo and his team. They made the adjustment. So in the first fight, they spent too much time on the back foot because Triple G is what we call a natural bully. He will try and, force you backwards and let his punches go. You know what I mean? And in the first fight, he was successful in doing it. Canelo adopted a more of a counter-punching style. But in the second, if you look at that second fight again, and I've seen that fight a few times now, Canelo was either backing him up or stood his ground. And when they stood their ground and let their shots go, invariably, Canelo was the one coming away, landing that last shot, the more eye-catching shots. To me, he won the fight.
All right, let's go to some comments here with regards to about Triple G being a great fighter. We've got some opinions here. Francisco says, overall, I agree with Laurie, but Triple G deserves credit for his long reign as champion. Based on that achievement, could you say he's the best middleweight of his era? Maybe top 10, 15 all-time middleweight?
No, I can't say that because he got beaten by Canelo. So he couldn't be the best middleweight of his era at all. I mean, no. I mean, listen, a lot of his wins was when he was decimating people like Matthew Macklin and the Australian guy. Well, I forget his name now, you know what I mean? Highlight reel knockouts. Bit like what Savannah Marshall's doing now. Taking man out. People, whoa. And then people were saying he's the most feared and all that. But that was soon laid to rest when we found out that he wasn't so keen to fight certain fighters. And now we've got to the stage where he's 40 years old. He's kind of hiding in plain sight. This fight with Murata, they're supposed to have fought about 2 years ago. He's targeted Murata because I think he sees an easy win. He thinks the styles. You think he'll be able to bully Murata en route to a KO or points win. It'd be interesting to see how that fight goes, man. You know what? I'm going to say this now. I'd like to see Murata win. Because Triple G, man, like, you know what I mean? Come on now, bro. Like, you've been nicking and living out this game for a minute. It's time for the younger guys to come through. Murata's a former gold medalist. I know he's Japanese. He's kind of, off the beaten track in Japan. I like to see new stars being born, man. That's what helps elevate the sport. That's what helps keep people interested. You're just going to have Triple G fighting every 2 years, picking his opponents, getting dodgy decisions while he waits for a shot at Canelo. It's not doing nothing for the sport, really, is it? Not for me, anyway.
Nathan says here, using that logic, you could argue Canelo could have 3 or 4 losses, even though officially he only has 1. I think many people believe that should be the case with Canelo anyway. Punch Mullet says here, Triple G is still better than Charlo and Andrade. Stefan said here,
hang on. How do we know that when he never seemed to want those fights? So that's just opinion, really, isn't it? Because I think Charlo and Andrade.
But now they'd beat him now. But in the prime, would they beat him? I'd say no.
When he's in his prime, he studiously avoided those guys. It's a common knowledge.
But would you think that they'd fight if they did fight in their prime? If they fought in their prime, are you picking them two to beat Triple G?
Possibly, yeah.
Nah, not me.
Now listen, we know that he has trouble with boxers. So if Danny Jacobs could almost beat him, why couldn't Charlo? Or why couldn't Andrade? Both very good fighters, young, strong. You know what I mean? Why not? Derevchenko should have beaten Triple G. Are you telling me he's a better fighter than
Yeah, Charlo, but that's not old Triple G. That's not prime Triple G when he fought Derevchenko. He was like 38, 37, 38 when he fought Derevchenko. Listen, I agree with you. I think you can. There's a real solid argument here. Stefan's saying he's a great fighter, no doubt about it. But tell us why. Tell us why. Like, I mean, is he? When you say great, do you mean like? I mean, he's obviously going to go in the Hall of Fame. Do you know what I mean? So now it's time to define what we mean as great. Like when we say great, we're talking about the likes of a Hopkins, Tony,
exactly.
like Roy Jones. Are we putting Triple G up there?
No way. Did these look? What's prime James Toney and Roy Jones? No way, bro. Nah. No chance.
Nathan says here you could argue Triple G won both fights against Canelo. Harvey says here he's not an all-time great. His resume, I have to agree with you, Laurie. His resume.
I could argue that I'm not your dad, I'm your brother. But hey, you know what
his
I mean?
resume, like. listen, whether he was avoided or not, at the end of the day, when someone looks at your resume, they're going to look at who's he beat these guys. Oh, what, he didn't get to fight whoever. There was the whole Andre Ward thing. I'm not going to forget that, man. When his trainer, Abel Sanchez, said, we'll take anyone on from 154 to 168. Andre Ward came knocking on the door saying, all right, let's go. Oh, nah, he don't sell. Oh, he don't do this.
Well, I'll give you another nugget from that guy's list of nuggets. When he would talk about him fighting Jamal Charlo was actually calling him out. You know what he said? Black fighters don't sell. That was a ridiculous statement, and it was done to duck Jamal Charlo. So that's what I'm saying. I'm not having this about he's a great fighter. Very good fighter, good puncher, strong, lots of heart, tough. Yes to all of those. But come on, man, if you're looking back at all-time greats, to me, he does not belong in that mix. And listen, boxing is a subjective sport on so many levels. So as much as I come out and say this, there's going to be somebody else come out and say it. So I get that. But to me, nah. Canelo will go down as a great fighter. You know, I mean, Andre Ward is a great fighter. It's proven, bro. Like, it's there. I mean, let's look at Triple G's career-defining fights. He's not really won them, has he? You know what I mean? And then he spent too much time ducking and dodging and avoiding guys that were young and hungry and calling him out when he was at the top. So I'm not going to induct him into no Hall of Fame. Listen, I'm sure the likes of Doug Fisher and Dan Rev, listen, I'm sure he'll probably be a first ballot Hall of Famer. But for me and a lot of people I've spoken to, no, not for me.
Nathan says he'd rate Triple G very highly in his prime. Punch Smollett said he's about to unify. He's actually going to be 40 by the time he steps into the ring, bro. So that's even more impressive, the fact that he will be 40 years old and he'll be unifying the belts.
Well, let's see how he fights first, because, you know what I mean?
Do you know much about Mariah? Your thoughts on the opponent? I mean, I ain't seen much of him. I'm not going to lie and say, oh, yeah, I've studied his fights and whatever. And
like
obviously,
I said,
I know he's got a good amateur record. That's it.
He's an Olympic gold medalist, I know that. But like I said, he's operated in Japan for the most time. And, you know, he's sort of off the beaten track. So we've not really had a chance to see him. I don't really know too much about the guys he's fought. So, yeah, I couldn't really tell you. But look at it like this, Darryl. This seems to be a certain thing where Triple G's been chasing this fight for a while. So that tells me something, doesn't it? That he kind of deliberately ducked other guys, fought some Polish guy whose name I can't remember, and now you're fighting Murata. You're trying to fight Murata now for, seems like the best part of 2 years. So to me, that tells its own little story. Or clearly you know about the guy. Probably even sparred him before and knows that in what his strengths and weaknesses are. And he's been targeted for a belt. Because it just seemed a little strange, isn't it? You waited all this time to fight Murata. You know, when there's plenty of fights that could have been made and you seemingly didn't want them.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm a bit dubious about this fight, to be honest. But listen, I hope Murata wins. I really do.
Yeah. I'm expecting Triple G to win, to be honest. From what I've seen, I can't put this guy on the level of Triple G. Even Triple G now, you know what I mean? Maybe Father Time might have it say at the end of the day. But if Triple G has got anything left about him, then I'm expecting him to win.
It could be one of them where Murata, because he's the younger, presumably more athletically gifted, given that he's in his athletic prime, probably outscore him in terms of rounds, but then he'll get shafted on the scorecards. We've seen it all before, innit? Because they're trying to line up the Canelo fight. And it was interesting because I said this to you, didn't I, Dale, a couple of days ago, that it's very clever the way that Canelo keeps talking about Triple G. Yeah, I don't like that guy. He's talking a lot of shit. You know, I mean, trying to build that fight when the reality is absolutely no one wants to see that fight. No one.
WM said here, come on, Laurie, do you really think Triple G
I just gave you names, bro. I just gave you names. Andre, Charlo, Andre Ward, that's 3. So go figure, bro. You know what I mean? He ducked those guys blatantly as well. Abel Sanchez talking about black fighters don't sell. You know what I mean? That's a duck.
Murata, very solid fighter, says Nathan. What's your prediction, Nathan? What's your prediction for that fight? WM said here, Triple G won the second Canelo fight. Canelo was being overly praised because he came forward, but he was getting lit up at times. Yeah, I think it was a lot closer I think it was a lot closer than you're saying, man. I think that I don't think Canelo won that clearly.
Well, okay, but do you think he won it?
I think you could, if you gave it to him, I wouldn't have been like, that's a robber. I wouldn't have said anything. You could have gone either way. That's
what?
my.
Wow. No, man. I thought Canelo beat him, man. I mean, so what about when he fought Derevchenko, Triple G? Do you think he won that one?
Nah.
Do you think he beat Daniel Jacobs?
No.
Well, there you go. You see, all these people, oh, he's an all-time great. He's not, bro. He's not. Very good fighter, big puncher. Like I said, lots of things to like about him, lots of attributes. And this guy here, why? This is not a dislike. You see, this is the thing with some people. If I don't anoint him as one of the greatest fighters ever, then I dislike the guy. I don't dislike him. I've never met him. I've got no reason to dislike. He seems like a all right, carries himself very well, actually, Triple G. But you asked me a question, Daryl, based on his boxing exploits, and I've answered honestly. I don't think you could call a man like that great. Now, like I said, I know there's going to be some people who are going to do that, but I personally don't.
Yeah. It's fair. It's your opinion. It's your opinion. That's why I asked
nothing to do with like or dislike, man. Because you know what? There are plenty.
I think we're too experienced in this thing now to have a personal feeling towards someone. I don't really care about any of them, if I'm being honest. I don't like a guy. I don't dislike a guy. I'm never going to meet you. You don't know why I exist.
Gary, you know, right? Tell me if I'm lying in front of all these people watching the street. Do I like Floyd Mayweather?
No, you don't.
Right. And he's probably the greatest fighter of this era. There's lots of things about Floyd Mayweather. I'm probably going to touch on one soon that I just thoroughly dislike about the man. I think he's narcissistic. I think he's mean-spirited. I think he's lots of things that he exhibits that I don't like. But in terms of his boxing and his boxing ability, you can't argue with it, man. He's the best boxer of this era. Absolutely he is. And that's facts.
Yeah. Mike Oxlong says here, hopefully Triple G doesn't show up with ring rust. Of course, Triple G has been out of the ring for a while and he is 40. He's going to be 40 by the time he steps into the ring. So that's not the only fight this weekend, of course. I mean, like I said, Erickson Lubin against Fundora is probably the pick for me out of all of the actual fights. I'm looking forward to that. Erickson Lubin has come on well since that stoppage to Jamel Charlo, should I say. Fundora as well. I think that's a good energy fight, man. How do you see that one going?
You know what? I've gone back and forth in my mind with this one for so long, man. I'm leaning towards Lubin, but I could see a scenario whereby he's winning on points, and then that extra size and sort of, I'm not even sure if it's strength, but you know what I mean? The problems that Fundora will possess might enable him to walk down Lubin down the stretch and stop him. So I'm really like, it's a massive test for both guys. Because let's face it, Fundora, I've seen some of his fights. Tall, very tall, 6'5".
How tall? Yeah, he's freakishly tall.
Yeah, freakishly tall. Decent power, but doesn't fight using his height. He tends to get inside and let his hands go. And he's got a high punch output. And he's a decent body puncher, like a lot of the Mexican fighters or Mexican heritage fighters are. So it's going to be a great fight, man. I'm looking for, and of course, Lubin, you know what I mean? He had that opportunity years ago, and he got stopped within a round by Charlo. He has been rocked a couple of times since, so maybe his chin is not the best.
Yeah.
So I'm leaning towards Lubin purely on boxing skills, because I think he's the better skill fighter. But I think the physical advantages that Fundora has might see him get the win late. You know what I mean? You know, one of them where you just see a bigger man just pounding Lubin against the ropes, and then the referee comes in and stops it. Could be one of them.
What about body shots, as Michael Maxwell saying here? Like the body shots from Lubin, if he rips them in on
He's got to do that. He's got to do that. But whoever wins, man, is well in the shout for a title shot and would deserve to be so, you know what I mean?
That's what I'm saying, man. 154, you know what I mean? It's been like this for a while. It's a scary division, man. Yeah. And there are a lot of unheralded names out there at 154 that they may not be the most popular, they may not be a superstar or anything, but there's a lot of talent in that division, man. And it's not going to be easy to navigate your way to the top. Whatever route you take at 154 is going to be difficult.
I think the tactics for Lubin are very important. He's either got to be all the way out or all the way in. He can't afford to give my man too much distance.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? He can't be at the end of the shots. He's got to try and find a way so that you're right. The body work is crucial. And you've got to get in there, man, and work. But the problem with getting in there like that is on the way in, you're going to get hit. So, yeah, man. Lubin seems to be the more skilled and the more classically skilled fighter. But Fundora's got skills too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just that he gives up his height and he's very aggressive for a tall fighter. But it seems to work for him. And like I said, you watch that fight, he throws a lot of punches.
Yeah. I think so. I think that's going to be, like I said, that is the one to pick out of the ones that are on this weekend. Of course, we've got Ryan Garcia back this weekend as well.
Joke.
Glad to see that he's finally back in the ring, but I'm not really expecting much against
really.
Not me personally, man, but like, yeah, I mean, I guess he's got ability, he's got talent. Do you know what I mean? Will he put it to good use? He's been dropped by, the Reynoso and that camp. They didn't want him in their camp anymore. That was concerning, but he is obviously going to be training with Joe Goosen now, isn't he? Goosen's a good trainer. Do you know what I mean? He seems to have good chemistry with his fighters, but I don't know, man. It's show and prove time now for Ryan Garcia. All this talk.
Yeah, but listen, this is a very carefully selected opponent. The opponent that he's fighting, a Ghanaian guy called Tagu, apparently he used to train a lot at Joe Goosen's gym. So they know exactly what they're facing. And I expect Ryan Garcia to knock him out spectacularly, look good doing it. Then we're going to get him jumping on the rope, getting overexcited, calling everyone out. And we all know it's cap. So I don't. Until this guy's going to get in there and fight proper people and conduct himself like a proper fighter, I'm not really interested in Ryan Garcia. Too much smoke and mirrors, man.
Yeah, I agree. Got to be. I want to see him more active this year.
Better opponents.
And it needs to be against quality. If you really are that serious about what, I'm just sick of like all of these guys, man. I mean. You've got Tank fighting Rolly Romero, like I'm saying, and look what Devin Haney. This is why, out of all of these guys, I'm backing Devin Haney, because all of these guys love to talk. We hear it all the time. They've got Twitter fingers, always talking shit to each other. Devin Haney is showing improvement, man. He's going out there and going for glory. Do you know what I mean? We got Cambosos as well. I mean, he did it. He traveled to different countries to take on these guys, and he's been rewarded. He's got 3 of the 4 belts. These 2 guys are now fighting each other. They're not on Twitter chatting shit with each other all day for a fight that's not going to happen.
Exactly right. And listen, to be fair to Ryan Garcia, obviously his first fight back after a long hiatus, he's not going to go in against a killer. But even so, you can just see what's going on here. That guy has been carefully selected. To me, this is almost reminiscent of one of Jake Paul's fights. It's got that feel to it.
Yeah.
It feels like a YouTube fight. And you know what's going to happen. Ryan Garcia is going to go in there, starch the guy, going to jump up on the top rope, ridiculous over celebration. Then he's going to start shouting the odds. I want Tank, I want Cambo, I want Devin, I want this. It's just played out, bro. And it's all a load of nonsense because we know deep down he's not about that life. And until he shows us that he's serious about this sport, then I'm not really interested in the guy. I just find him irritating. Really do. And listen, he is talented, like you said, but he's got a long way to go to get himself back into my boxing affections, as it were.
Yeah, him and Devin Haney actually, they fought. I think they fought 4 times in the amateurs, and they both have 2 wins apiece. Was it 6?
Yeah.
What, they got 3 wins apiece?
Won the last 3.
So they got 3 wins apiece. Them guys, because I know Ryan Garcia won a few. I think
he won either the first 2 or the first 3, and Devin won the last 3. But listen, it's obvious he don't want to fight Devin Haney, man, because if you remember, after the fight where he had with Luke Campbell, which was like an eliminator for the WBC title, he absolutely swerved it. When he was interviewed, he said, I don't want them, I'm not ready for Devin Haney yet. He actually said that.
Mm-hmm.
But then when he went home in front of his Twitter followers, then he started calling Devin Chinny, this, that, I can beat that, I've got to fight with Pacquiao lined up. None of it was true. It's just rubbish. And it's all at the altar of appeasing Twitter followers.
Yeah.
Twitter followers who, by the way, have no real interest in boxing. I'm pretty sure most of those, the vast majority of those people who follow me on Twitter are not boxing aficionados. I know that.
Let's move on anyway, man. Father Beans saying here, Wilder's resume is better than Triple G. He don't like Triple G, Father Beans. He's saying that's how bad Triple G is. WM has said here, I'm glad to see Ryan back. Still a very entertaining fighter and personality, but Laurie is right. He definitely ducked Devin Haney. He did.
He's definitely a personality. I wouldn't call it entertaining, though. Listen, WM, you think he is, fair enough. Different strokes for different folks. To me, he's a bit of a clown.
No, entertaining fighter, he's saying. What about fighter as a fighter?
And personality.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I'm saying he's entertaining fighter. Don't see him as an entertaining. I mean, he doesn't entertain me at all. In fact, he sort of sickens me in a lot of ways, man. But I'm old school like that anyway, man. But hey,
yeah,
he's not my cup of tea. I'll drink some tea.
Well, let's talk about the news that broke this week about Cuba returning to pro boxing, man. That was big news. Like that's great news, wasn't it? And it's gonna, you know what? When I thought, like, the first thing I thought about when I saw this news was that it's gonna shape up a lot of these fighters, man. Do you know what I mean? It's actually gonna be scary hours for some of these guys. So you better get a move on if you're looking to get to that world title or whatever, because the Cubans are coming.
4 words. The game done changed. Because I'm telling you, this is a monumental piece of news for boxing, man. I so welcome this, because in the past we've seen, I mean, look, a couple of weeks' time, we got Ugas fighting Errol Spence. He's out of that Cuban program. He had to defect to Cuba. I think he tried 6 or 7 times. So hopefully we'll see that less and less. I'm sure some of them will still try and defect. I don't know, but because they'll be based in Cuba, I think the deal is. But listen, man, I welcome it. I think it's great for boxing. You imagine like somebody like Andy Cruz, who is without a doubt the best amateur in the world right now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Turning pro and dazzling us with his skills. I guess you're going to get something. Yeah, but he can't punch and all that. But listen, man, I would love to see that guy turn pro. And if he's managed and promoted well, these guys are going to be big hits in boxing. Because they are the most successful amateur boxing nation, without a doubt, in the last 30, 40 years. And they've just got a continual talent. I mean, conveyor belt of talent. I've got so much respect for those guys because, as everyone pretty much knows, Cuba's a very poor country. And they don't have, next to no resources. And yet they continually turn out these top amateur fighters, man, and pros as well. Yeah. It's phenomenal what they do. So can you imagine them now with hopefully with a bit of resources and finance behind them, a bit of promotion? The game changed, man. You know what I mean? I see Keyshawn Davis a bit salty about it.
Yeah.
You know, could that have anything to do with the fact that he's 4-0 in losses against Andy Cruz? Because he knows, man. He knows these guys are threats now. You know what I mean? A clear and present danger. All of it, you know, I mean, people were talking about Keyshawn Davis. So listen, man, I like the guy. Very good fighter. Looks like he's going to be a world champion. But then all of a sudden he wakes up one day and turns on his phone and sees that. He's probably thinking, rah, I thought I would never see that guy again. Yeah. Well, he's there, man. You know what I mean? So listen, it's whether they can adapt to the pros, obviously, innit? But I'm sure they will, bro. I'm sure because they're just so talented.
Yeah.
If they're trained right, promoted right, and managed right, they get the right fights and so forth. These guys are going to do just as well in the pros, in my view.
Shout out to Daniel White, man. He's put here, evening, guys. Great chat as usual. What do you make of the Tank Mayweather situation? Surely after Rolly, he has to fight a top-tier guy. After Rolly, he's got to leave Mayweather Promotions, bro. And I think he'll probably stay with the PBC. But yeah, he's got to leave them. And if he's going to leave them, then he has to fight one of the top guys. He's in a hot weight division. There are loads of guys out there for him to fight. He's 26, 27 years old now. The time is now to put your foot on the gas and go. Like, after Rolly, that should be it. He's complaining about fighting Rolly Romero. He's saying he don't want to fight him. He's not interested. Mayweather Promotions have been holding him back. So let's see if you put your words into action after this fight and leave, because there's talent out there and we want to see you against them.
Yeah, potentially a great fighter, but hasn't achieved. I remember seeing Tank when he came over here and he fought, was it Liam Walsh?
Yeah.
And I remember people like Steve Bunce were saying, oh, this could be a close fight. Listen, Tank absolutely washed him. And no disrespect to Walsh, because he was a good fighter at the time.
He was, yeah.
And I saw that guy, man. I saw the level of talent. He's phenomenal. But I have to say, man, he's not quite lived up to the billing, has he? Because he's not getting the right fights, not getting those career-defining fights. And I think that him with Mayweather, I didn't really like the look of that dynamic. I think he's doing one of the best things Tank will ever do is to get rid of Mayweather, because Mayweather is not interested in Tank. He's interested in Mayweather. That's what Mayweather's interest. Mayweather. Tank, you know what I mean? You see them sat in press conferences. Tank's got a fight coming up. And all Floyd will be doing is talking about how he beat Canelo. I beat him easy. Like I said before, you know what I mean? The biggest pay-per-view numbers. You know what I mean? You see Tank sitting there like, when can I get a word in? He's not been promoted properly. He's not been treated right. Yes, he's made a lot of money fighting guys that are not that great. He's picked up a couple of titles. But a talent like Tank, man, he should be up there with Canelo, innit? In terms of his career. People should be talking about him as a pound for pound up there with Canelo and Terence Crawford. But he's very rarely mentioned in those terms. And I think it's because he hasn't been managed right.
I see Mayweather, just quickly to divert, Mayweather, I see he's going to be having that exhibition fight on the helipad in Dubai now against, what's the guy's name? Don Moore or something like that? Club fighter.
Well, a guy, incidentally, he used to spar with that was trained by his uncle Roger. I mean...
is that who he's fighting?
Yeah.
Is that him? Okay.
I mean, are you serious? I mean, what? And this is what I'm saying about Floyd. He should have been putting his energies into getting Tank these fights, and all he's interested in doing is fighting himself. And like I said, if you've ever seen the Tank press conference, it's embarrassing, because literally Floyd will spend the whole time, even if he does reference Tank, it will be, yeah, what I see in Tank is a young Floyd, and this, it's sickening at times, man. You just think to yourself, Tank, what are you doing?
Yeah.
And then if you look at the other stable, the other fighters in that stable, who's doing anything? All I'm seeing and hearing is fighters from that stable saying they can't get no work. But yet Floyd is getting all these lucrative offers to fight in these far-flung places. That tells me
Badu Jack's going to be on the undercard, isn't he? He's going to be on the undercard of Mayweather's Badu Jack of Mayweather's exhibition fight. But what's it really do? I mean, Badu Jack's probably at the end of his career now, anyway.
Yeah.
To be fair to him,
Badu Jack is at the end of his career. Let's be honest with you. And I think Badu Jack, to be fair, is probably one of the other fighters in that stable that's kind of had a decent. He has had a good career, Badu Jack.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure that if you sat him down and said I could have done a lot more if I was promoted right. He's never really been promoted right, has he, Badu Jack? How many times has he headlined shows and stuff like that?
Well, the James DeGale one, that was a big fight. That was a big fight, him and DeGale. Unification it was, wasn't it?
Yeah, but he's been around so long, you'd have expected him to had a lot of fights and high-profile fights. But listen, who else is ripping up any trees in the Mayweather TMT promotions? I mean, Leonard Ellaby is always telling you about numbers and this and that, but it's all smoke and mirrors, man. What are they doing with those guys? There's a guy they got, quality fighter called Richard Hitchens. I think he fought in the Olympics for Haiti. He's based in New York. Said to be a very good fighter. He's actually coming out regularly and saying, listen, these guys are not putting me on any shows. I can't get any work. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Comment from Stefan here, man. Yeah. He said here, Daryl, what did you do for Frank Warren to block you? Even I'm not blocked from him. Bro, I've got no idea. I didn't even tell you that. Yeah, he blocked me. You know, so I didn't tweet him. I was like, do you know how I found out? I found out because DS, shout out to him. He sent me a link and it was to Frank Warren's tweet. about something. So I went to click on it, and it didn't go up. It just flashed up with the, oh, you've been blocked. I'm like, what? I was like, what did I do? And I actually thought, I don't even tweet crud about Frank
Have you
Warren.
not ever corresponded with him?
Nah, never. I don't
Maybe,
tweet.
you know what it is? Maybe he's either watched one of these shows or somebody sent him a clip when we've been less than effusive in our praise through. Because he's that type of guy, isn't he? He's quite a malicious person, Frank Warren is.
I remember there was an account on online. Remember on Twitter, and it was called, like, it had the same, basically almost had the same as we did. Like, obviously Boxing Lowdown, and
was that the Asian guy?
Yeah, Dev.
Yeah.
It said boxing underscore. His one was boxing underscore lowdown. So I'd see like Michael Benson tweet an interview from like someone, and it's not from me, obviously. It's from his account, but it says boxing lowdown on it. So I'm like, hold on a minute, man. Like nah. So I've tweeted that account, and I've just said, yo, man, like, this is our account. Do you know what I mean? Like, change the name. Like, we've had this before you. And respectfully, Dev was like, you know what, cool. I didn't see that. I'll change it. And he changed it. So I don't know if it's that or what, but like, I ain't even tweeted shit to Frank Warren. So I'm just like, whatever, man. I don't care anyway. Like,
yeah, I mean, who cares?
I don't really give a shit anyway. Do you know what I mean? I'm not really out here to try and be anyone's friend, man. I don't want to kiss Frank Warren's ass or any of these guys' asses, man.
Yeah,
say what I want to say. But I just thought it was funny.
I think the beauty about doing things like this, as opposed to what my friend Coogan does. Shout out to Coogan, by the way. I think he's got his 1 billion view the other day. So yeah, shout out to Coogan for that. Now, Coogan is a good friend of mine. And as you know, Daryl, I used to accompany him back in the day, about between 2012 and 2014, 15 maybe, when he was going up and down the country covering the shows and stuff like that. So Coogan's content and his material is very different from, say, somebody like yours. Coogan has to ingratiate himself with promoters, certain fighters and stuff like that in order for him to get access to these shows and to do a job properly. So he's got a certain type of content. What me and you are doing is very different, where we sit down and we analyze fights, we give our opinions. And you know what? Boxing, the whole boxing scene, man, promoters, fighters, a lot of them are like that. You dare say something that they consider a slight bit of criticism, they take it personal.
Yeah, and sorry, fuck that.
Listen, I'm not going to name names. I've told you privately, in Daryl, I've seen certain boxers go off on Coogan because he was asked privately about a certain fight, gave his opinion. It's got back to that fighter, and that fighter's like got really upset with it.
Yeah.
So I've seen this stuff, so I know where it goes, and I'd much rather be doing stuff like this, to be honest, because you know, these guys, they fight, and if they don't look good, or if you critique them in any way that's not favorable to them, lo and behold, you know what I mean? They want to block you, or they go cold on you. You know what I mean? You tweet them, you message them, they don't respond, and you just think, who cares, man? You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I'm just like, listen, I remember for Pep Talk, I actually did interview Frank Warren for them, and he was cool. But this was like, he probably won't remember. But I'm like you, man. I'm not here to kiss anyone's ass, man. I'm not here to, I can't say that, man, because boy, if I see him, fuck that, man. I'm not a disrespectful person anyway. So I'll just say my opinion, and that's it.
Exactly.
So it is what it is, man. I'm not really.
And we know Frank Warren, man. You've only got to see his interviews. He gets very salty. The slight hint of criticism or what he considers you may be downplaying his achievement with regards to his promotion or one of his fighters, he goes on the offensive. And I'll be honest with you, sometimes it's quite entertaining to watch, but it's also quite petty, man, and he comes across as a bit salty and a bit moody. But then I've seen that with the other guys as well. See, Eddie Hearn, recently he's been sounding off on people when they've had a little pop at him, you know what I mean, or when they've criticised him. You know what I mean?
Do you know the answer to this question? You see a lot of people come out and ask this. Obviously, you've been in the IFL circle for a little while. Do you know anything about that?
I'll be honest and say, listen, I don't know. What I would say is I know Coogan very well, even before he started at IFL. I know him very well, and I've always been cool with Coogan, and I know James, always been cool with him. And I honestly don't know the real reason. Clearly, you know what I mean, there's been a separation there. Whether it was acrimonious or not, I don't know. You know what I mean? I really don't know, and I wouldn't like to speculate. But yes, James did play a big part in IFL. And I used to travel up and down the country with those guys, and we used to have some fun road trips, man. You know what I mean? I would say that. But listen, man, it's different personalities. I'm not going to speculate as to what happened. I don't know, and I'm being honest when I say that. And I don't really care to know. You know what I mean? I don't really want to get involved in their personal business, man. I don't even know if it's acrimonious because I'm not seen James, not heard from him. I still follow him on social media and that. He still tweets and stuff about boxing. I think he's doing other things now. So, yeah, it's all good, man.
Daniel, he says G-Man, big up G-Man as well. He's got his own YouTube channel. He says he openly calls him fish eyes and doesn't get blocked. Yeah, I ain't said none of that to Frank. Well, I ain't disrespected him like that. But it is what it is, man. I don't really care if I'm blocked or not. It's not like I'm tweeting him anyway. But
listen,
I thought it was funny. It was funny.
The guy's a very temperamental and moody man. I think he would have to acknowledge that. And he's the kind of guy that if he's come across something that you've said something or he's seen an interview or whatever, or whether there was this clash with a boxing lowdown thing, he probably thought, right, I'm going to unfollow this one because he never let you keep that name. You know what I mean? It's petty shit, man.
Ian says here, I got blocked for telling him that Dubois would leave him for Eddie Hearn. Hatman has said that some people who work for Frank Warren look at what is said by everyone, hence the use of the nickname. I reckon it might not even have been him. It probably was someone that runs. Search acrimonious tweets to Frank Warren. We'll block him. We'll block them. But I ain't even tweeted that shit. So maybe they saw something. Maybe they saw you dissing John Fury on there, and they thought, boy, let's block them lot, man. We don't want them lot. You know what I mean? But
am I taking back what I said about them guys? Hell no.
Punch Mullet said here, as a bloke from the States, what is the appeal of Thai FL? I don't get it. You know Thai FL, don't you?
Oh, is that the guy from Sheffield? Yeah. I must admit, I don't really follow his stuff much. I've seen some of his stuff in the early days. It's quite amusing, but it's not something I would watch.
Thai move.
Yeah, you know what I mean? It's more of a parody content, isn't it? I know.
Yeah, I mean, it has wound a lot of people up, his content, but that's how I look at it.
Well, that's why he does it, clearly, isn't it? He's trolling people. He used to be a fighter himself.
I've met him before. Once when I was out with Pep Talk. He's cool, man. He is cool.
Yeah, he used to be a fighter, you know?
I know,
yeah.
But yeah, interesting. That was just funny that about the whole Frank Warren thing today. But, you know, I know we ain't got long left because we're going to try and keep it to an hour. Obviously, you need to get your rest in.
It's all right, man. Actually, like I said, doing this podcast has actually been quite therapeutic for me. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I've got enough energy. I've got my water here. I've got my tea, like I said.
Okay, cool. Let's stay on this Frank Warren thing then, man. Let's talk about the undercard for Fury and White. Yeah, because
now you're really going to get blocked now.
If you didn't block me before, you're going to block me now. Because one thing I will say, I'm glad I didn't get a ticket for that.
Nah.
Glad I didn't get a ticket for that, man. I'll be honest. It don't really appeal to me. I saw someone tweet a few days ago and they just said, yeah, it's at Wembley, but it doesn't have that Wembley feel to it.
No, it doesn't.
Why though? Because I couldn't put my finger as to why, but the guy was right. It don't have that feel to it, man, for some reason. Maybe Dillian Whyte isn't helping the situation by not promoting.
I was going to say, I'm sure they'll blame it all on Dillian, but
he's not helping it.
Yeah, definitely Dillian has had a part to play in that. But I mean, maybe you could tell me, but I don't quite understand why Dillian's doing what he's doing. Because it's not just a matter that he's not turned up for the press conferences, but he's not engaged in anything, has he?
No.
But Dillian, listen, man, Dillian's one of those guys, man. Yeah. I've met Dillian and I know people that know him, and he's a cantankerous man. You know what I mean? He's one of them hardcore Jamaican, like ruffian, you know what I mean? Hard. You kind of have to know the culture. You know what I'm saying, it though. You kind of have to know the culture. They say he's ignorant. You know what I mean? That's how he is. And he takes pride in that, man. He's his own man. And that's how he's going to roll. Like him or love him, you don't care. That's one thing about Dillian Whyte.
Yeah.
He's quite happy to be the villain. He's quite happy to go off and do his own thing. He probably right now in the gym, and then when he's finished the gym, he'll go back to his house he's rented out there and he'll be with his dogs.
That's what it'll do, man. Yeah, that's
You know what I mean?
100%.
So Dillion's a man that he don't care, bro. He's like that. And I've met a few people like that over the years in our community, man, where they just don't give a fuck. And that's Dillion. You know what I mean?
What about the undercard though? Stefan saying here that must have cost Frank about
man.
$2,000. He said $2,000 for that undercard.
What's the chief support? Isaac Lowe.
Yeah, I think so, man.
So you got like a world title fight that's going to be shown all around the world, and your chief support is Isaac Lowe. He's coming off a loss, by the way.
But when you got a big fight like that, do you really care? Do you really care about the undercard? That we're all there for White and Fury, aren't we?
Yeah. But give the people something, man. This is like a monumental occasion, isn't
it? Yeah. Wembley,
90,000. Wembley Stadium, 90,000 fans. 2 British heavyweights going at it. They're creating history. The last time I've seen something like this should have been like Lennox Lewis versus Frank Bruno or something like that. You know what I mean? Or, you know what I mean? I know we've had British clashes, but not at this kind of level. We had the Joshua Dillian White, but it wasn't for titles like this. So, I don't know, man. It just seems that in order to pay Tyson Fury his mega money purse, they've just skimped on everything else, it seems.
Well, they got his whole crew in there. They got Adelaide, they got Lowe, and they got his brother on there as on the undercard. So Frank Warren
Tommy Fury. Oh man.
Yeah.
Wow. But the man who ducked Jake Paul. Wow.
Yeah. DS has said here, April 23rd should be an event, but it just feels like another heavyweight fight. I'm looking forward to it, but I'm not buzzing.
I'll tell you what as well, right? Stadium fights, for people who've never been to one before, it's they're not always the most, how can I put it, comfortable of settings, put it that way. Especially in April. I mean, the other day in London, it was snowing right now. You know what I mean? And the weather's been quite cold recently. And okay, there's a few weeks to go, but listen, man, if it pours down with rain on April the 23rd, I would not be surprised. If you get to like 11 o'clock at night and it's like the temperatures drop to below 5 or whatever, it would not surprise me. So, you know what I mean? Unless you got really good seats, sometimes being in an outdoor setting is not the one, bro. Trust me. And I've been to a few outdoor fights. And I've been shivering in there trying to watch main event. A lot of times, depending on where you're sat, you have to look up at the screens. The screens are not really that sort of high tech in a lot of these grounds.
We've been Wembley before, so we know what it's like in there.
Yeah. And I've been to
screens in there, but it's just you can see there'll be big screens, but
you
won't see. You'll be watching. It'll be like watching it on TV.
Exactly. Yeah. Not even as good as that, to be honest. Let's be honest, it's not. So. You know what I mean? I just hope that the 90,000 will generate some serious noise, because even that, boxing is not football, is it? So you're not going to get people singing songs all night. And it's not like football insofar as it's not a 90-minute thing. You'll be sat there for a long time. And like I said, man, stadium fights experience, man, it can be a bit off-key. That's all I'm saying. Me, I much prefer to watch it. I'll buy it because it's pay-per-view, so I'm supporting the fight. But I mean, I know somebody in my office who was trying to get tickets for that fight and he couldn't get them. And then when he was quoted a price, I think it was something like £200 to £300. And I'm going to be honest with you, man, there's no way I'll pay £200 to £300 for that, especially now that they've announced the undercard, or shall I say, lack of undercard. You know what I mean? So what do you do for 3 hours? Be entertained by Isaac Lowe and Tommy Fury.
I guess so.
Come on, bro.
DS has said here, John Fury said they're bringing down an army and they're ready for whatever. The man needs to grow up.
Yeah, but you know what? That is exactly the type of thing you would expect him to say. The man's a bully and he's a narcissist. And I've said it something. I've got absolutely zero time for John Fury and his antics. But, you know, some people seem to think he's entertaining. I saw the way he disrespected Carl Frampton a few weeks ago.
Yeah,
just because Carl Frampton had the temerity to suggest that, what was it? I don't know what they were talking about, but he disagreed with. Yeah, he said that.
Chris Frampton picked Jake Paul to beat
Yeah,
Tommy Fury.
yeah. Which is, come on now. You know what I mean? What's wrong with that? What is wrong with that? That to me, I would pick Tommy Fury over. Sorry, I would pick Jake Paul over Tommy Fury, especially if it was in America. He'd be a firm favorite in my view. What has Tommy Fury done to suggest that he's on any level? Bowled over some guys that are totally nondescript. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So to me, they're like equal status. Probably Jake Paul's got more status because he's a bit more popular worldwide.
Yeah.
But having seen the two of them box, if anything, I think Jake Paul showed better skills and better punching power as well. So
Harvey saying here, Fury versus White should be one of the biggest sporting events the UK has seen in a long time. But because of the promotion and undercard, I'm not convinced it will live up to its maximum potential. Again, what sort of blame do you give White in that? Do you think, are you of the opinion that White should be contributing and he might be part of the reason why this is not as popular as it should be? Or do you think, it's down to Frank Warren and Queensberry to get it popping?
It's difficult for me to say because I would really like to know Dylan's explanation of why he's taken this route, why he's gone down this route. He's not said anything and people are talking, but no one really knows. It seems pretty odd, bizarre even, that he's not engaged in any of the promotion. I think I heard Frank Warren say the other day, not only is he not turned up to any press conferences, he's not even been active on social media about the fight. So it's bizarre, man. I don't know why he's gone down that route. Maybe Dylan will tell you once he explains it, maybe it might make sense, but I don't know, man. It just seems weird to me. You know what I mean? I thought he would have had an obligation to promote the fight. I'm sure that's in the contract somewhere. But then from the little bits and pieces I'm picking up, Dylan and his people, I mean, you saw the clash that his solicitor had with Frank Warren on TalkSport. They're saying that there were certain parts of the contract that have not been honoured in their favour and that they have to do very minimal promotion. So there's a lot of acrimony going on, man. The underpinning of this fight, man, is there's a lot of acrimony going on. So I don't know.
So what happened there? The Wi-Fi just cut out a little bit, but so I didn't really get your last point. However, I think I got to grips with what you said there. As WM has said here, once White arrives for fight week and they do the press conference on the weigh-in, and that's true. That is normally the case with big fights. Like on the fight week, it will be through the roof because I'll be pumped up for it. I'm sure everyone else will be. If we do get that heat wave in April that we've been promised, I'm not sure what April maybe they're talking about April next year. But if we do get that heat wave and it is fight week, we'll all be talking about it. We'll all be gassed. So maybe, we'll wait and see. There's still time. And they have sold a lot of tickets.
Yeah. It's going to be a big occasion. And I'm sure it's going to be a good fight, because Dylan's going to come and he's going to bring it.
Yeah.
And Tyson Fury, we know what he's like. At some point, he's going to stand and engage. He said he's going to engage. He wants a knockout. So he said he's going to engage from the start. So we'll see. But I definitely think it's going to be a good fight. I think Fury's definitely got the edge. But, you know what I mean? As I've said, as I keep saying, when a man can punch like Dillian can punch, you can't write him out completely.
Yeah.
And we've seen Fury's hit the floor a few times, and not just by the hands of Deontay Wilder. Other guys have decked him. And he's also suffered big cuts in the past too. So if a couple of those open up, who knows? So yeah, man.
I still got Fury quite a heavy favourite in that.
Yeah.
And I think the closer we're getting, I'm starting to favour Fury more for some reason. Like when you get close to a fight and you're like, boy, I don't know, I'm actually starting to think, I think Fury might have this,
But the reason that could be is because we've not seen anything of Dylan. We've not seen no training footage. We've not seen any press conferences. So we're not able to gauge his mood. A lot of the time with fighters,
that's true.
You're looking at how they handle the press, their countenance, their disposition, the things they say. Do they look confident or is it cap? You know what I mean? You're seeing and you're hearing stuff in sparring about his knocked out sparring partner. You know what I mean? All that type of stuff goes on. And that can influence people leading up to a fight.
Yeah.
Myself included. You know what I mean? You look at a guy and you think, no, man, this guy looks ready. I'm hearing good stories how he's looking good in the gym. I mean, sometimes it turns out that what you heard wasn't true or it was all cap. but sometimes it does work out that way. So, but because we've seen nothing, we've heard nothing, there's been no social media interaction, nothing, then Dillian's almost been the forgotten man in this fight, you know what I mean? But then that's by his own volition. So, and like I said, I don't know why he's gone down this route.
Frank Warren ain't happy about it. Frank Warren ain't happy about it at all, man. When I see his interviews, I saw one today, he's really foaming at the mouth about that, about the fact Dillian ain't doing. So but Dillian's laughing about it because we've seen, the one thing I have seen him do is I saw him troll one of the accounts saying, no, I'm not doing nothing. And he started laughing and all that. And so, yeah, he knows what he's doing.
It could be mind games.
I think it is.
Could be mind games, man. And imagine if Dillian did win. Imagine
if he won, that would really, his face would be a picture of Frank Warren.
Yeah, Frank Warren would probably get in the ring and start fighting Dillian himself.
Yeah. I'm curious, man. I am looking forward to that. I'm still looking forward to it. Obviously, I won't be there, but I am still looking forward to the fight itself, man. April 20, what's it? Right. April 23rd, yeah, that's the date. Yeah.
Well, so you're going to be doing a watch along with us, aren't you? So yeah,
I will be. Yeah.
I'm looking forward to that. Looking forward to that. Because, like I said, I honestly think it's going to be a good fight while it lasts. I think it's going to catch fire.
Well, lastly, anyway, last one before we go. We touched on it briefly last week about Chris Eubank and Kell Brook. It's looking like, well, since we spoke about that last week, I saw an interview with Cal Sauerland on IFL. It appears that there's been an update. There's actually been an agreement on the weight limit. So there has been an agreement and we are moving closer to this becoming a reality, man. I know we've both touched on this last week and we weren't really in favor of it. I'm just, I don't know. Like I was speaking to someone on Instagram about it and they were telling me, look, man, Kell Brook, he's got better fundamentals. Eubank, every time he gets in there with someone that's a half decent boxer, minus James DeGale, they beat him. So Brook's not a welterweight anyway. He's grown out of that division. He's got a solid chance. And I'm just like, I just can't see it, man. I just think Eubank, he's just younger, bigger, fresher, quicker, stronger at this stage. Do you know what I mean? It's just, I don't like the fight, but it looks like we might get it.
I don't like the fight at all. And I'm kind of looking at Eubank a bit sideways, man. I'm like, bro, you keep saying you want to fight for titles. You keep saying, dropping all these names. You want Triple G, you want Charlo, Rare, and then you go and take a fight like this. What the winner of this? What does that mean? There's no title on the line. Just bragging rights between two guys who claim not to like each other. I don't even think the beef is that bad.
It's fabricated.
Yeah, man. It's just like I've got no interest in this fight. I'll probably watch it. Because I watch a lot of boxing fights. I mean, I'll probably be watching Isaac Lowe on the 23rd. So that, in terms of excitement levels, there is no excitement for me, man. And like I said, I think Eubank, serious questions have to be asked of him. Why are you pursuing a fight like this? You should be trying to get one of the world titleists in the ring. It's a retrograde step. And imagine if he loses to Kell Brook. Can you imagine? Then I agree with you. I don't think he will.
No. What chance you giving Brook?
Not much.
No.
Because one thing I'd say about Chris Eubank, he's a big, strong guy. He's got a good chin. And like you said, he's younger, he's fresher, he's bigger, stronger. I just can't see a way Kell Brook wins. I can't see it, man. You know what I mean?
Nor do I. I can't see it. I can't actually see it. I can't see it.
I don't know why Kell's pursuing this fight, bro. It looks like he's got overly gassed after beating Khan.
And it's looking like
fighting Conor Ben, I would have said, yeah, I'll look at that. Or if he'd have fought, what's the guy, Florian Marku or one of them, man, I would have said, yeah. But Eubank. I mean, what is the narrative going into this fight? How they're going to sell it? Oh, you took Triple G from me when, you know what I mean? Like, who cares, bro? Like, you know what I mean? Why don't you like him, Chris? Because when I had the fight with Triple G, he said it's stale, bro.
Yeah. Nathan says here, what do you guys think of Florian Marku? He's a bit limited, but exciting to watch. I'd like to see him fight Chris Congo next, although it won't likely happen.
I think Florian Marku's decent, man. I think some people don't give him enough credit. You know what I mean? He's not totally unskilled. He is quite exciting to watch, like Nathan says.
Yeah.
And you put him in there, man, and he'll give it a good go against any of those guys. I quite like watching him. He's got a ridiculous fan base, and he's a bit of a character as well, isn't he?
We've been there live. We've seen him fight live before.
Yeah. He's got all of the Albanian man rocking with him hard, and they're a very vociferous and loyal bunch of fans. So on any given night, man, you give them man trouble because he looks like a tough guy. Looks like he can hit a little bit.
Mm.
Yeah, man. I mean, listen, I'd love to see him fight Congo.
What about Khan? Because that could be something that's being spoke about.
Yeah.
Khan, I mean,
he probably beat Khan, to be honest.
I think he beat Khan now. Yeah. I think he beat Khan.
Especially as he was saying he wants to fight in Albania.
Could you imagine, man? Boy, that would be, because it's like when he fights over here, it's crazy. In Albania, man.
He must be one of the biggest ticket sellers in this country.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Definitely.
Easily. He's got phenomenal, loyal fan base. And
I think at this stage with Khan, man, like I think he beats Khan as well. At this stage.
Yeah, I would give him the edge because again, younger guy, stronger, more in his element. And Khan, we know, man, he's damaged goods. Listen, Khan should be retired. I don't know what he's doing, man. You know what I mean? He said after the fight, he's not the same anymore. He actually said, I've lost the passion for the game. He hinted heavily that he was going to retire. And then he goes and does what a lot of fighters do. Within a week or two, he's singing a different tune. The excuses are starting to come out. I'm hearing stuff now about he was carrying an injury going into this fight. I mean, someone close to him, his wife or his family, friends, need to sit him down and say, look, Amir, you've had a great career. You've given it everything. You really need to retire, bro. You know what I mean? And just put it on him like that and say, listen, if you do fight, don't expect us to be there. We're totally against it. Just try and convince this man to just leave it, man. You know what I mean?
Well,
because
thankfully,
whatever he does now is not going to register anything on the Richter scale. Let's say he fights Florian Marku, yeah? And he beats Florian Marku. What does that really prove? People are just going to say Florian Marku wasn't that good anyway. Aren't they? That's what they're going to say.
Yeah.
And let's face it, there's a real risk of losing that fight.
Khan hasn't actually, I ain't heard it come out of his mouth that he's looking to. I only heard like fewer people close, like Ben Shalom and others say, yeah, he's looking to carry on. But I ain't heard Khan say it.
Could be out of embarrassment. Maybe he's trying to gauge the reaction of the public before he actually makes up his mind. Or maybe he's floating. See, what a lot of fighters will do, they'll float things and they'll see the reaction of the crowd and other fighters, see who wants to take up the bait. Florian Marku's taking up the bait. You know what I mean? And I think personally, this version of Amir Khan, I think Florian Marku beats him.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's sad really, isn't it?
I see Chris Congo called out Florian Marku. He was out. I saw his interview. Obviously, he signed up by Boxer now. That's not going to be a hard fight to make. Will Marku take that fight? Maybe.
He didn't appear to engage with it, did he? When he was called out by Chris Congo, he started talking about Amir Khan. So is there something in that? Because let's be honest, man, out of the two, Congo is clearly the better skilled. But then that doesn't always necessarily mean that he's going to beat him. I mean, Congo suffered that disappointing loss to Mikey Mckinson, a fight he was expected to win. Could it be that if he fought Florian Marku with his rough and rugged style, it could give Congo a few problems? But I must say, based on what I've seen of both of them, I would make Congo a clear favourite. But then again, like I said before, it doesn't mean to say that Congo would win because we bigged him up before, haven't we? And let's be honest, man, when he fought Mckinson, he was very disappointing that night, man. I've got to admit, he got dropped, didn't seem to know what to do.
Yeah, did Mckinson just put in a great performance?
Yeah, there was that as well. But I mean, I was actually quite disappointed in Congo that night because he was well beaten, really, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was.
You know what I mean? So if you're going to lose, there's a way of losing. So could it be that Chris Congo is a front runner? No disrespect. Because when he fights and he's looking good, he does look good. But he had that blip and he didn't look good at all. So I don't know, man. I do like Chris Kongo, though.
Yeah.
Good skill set, good amateur. Been, you know what I mean? Talks well, seems confident. He was calling out Conor Benn as well. So there's some good talent in the welterweight division in this country.
Yeah.
With the fight, a lot of people thought that the Welsh guy was beating Marku up until he landed that temple shot. What do you think?
I thought he did all right up until the. I'm not gonna lie. I thought he did all right up until the loss, man. But I thought that Marku was. I thought it was swinging in his favor anyway.
Yeah, he looked like he was starting to
get
back into it. Yeah.
So I won't read in too much into that. I do think, yeah. Ian Hamilton says here, another thing I was going to mention, I said I was looking forward to Boazzi and Richards. I bagged those tickets last week. I'm looking forward to it. Are you both looking forward to it? I'm definitely looking forward to that.
Definitely looking forward to that. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. Daniel White has said here, what's a suitable next name for Mckinson? Obviously, he was due to fight Ortiz. That didn't happen. He did have a fight that weekend. It didn't really go down too well. He was getting booed a lot by the crowd out there. So I don't think he'll be, even if Virgil Ortiz was staying at 147 and that he was able to fight, I don't think they'd have that fight for him now. So where does Mckinson go? It's a good question. Like, where does he go now? Like, what does he do? Obviously, like you said earlier, there's some good names here in this country. Where does he go?
I think if you're going to market him, you need to market him over in this country. And if he can't get one of the British names, how about him go for a European title? So that will probably be the route they go down. He's one of those guys. He's not great to watch, but he gets the job done. Very tough guy, very awkward, got underrated skills, got a good mindset. But he's not what I would call exciting to watch. He's not going to get bang man out of there and all that type of stuff. But, you know, he's a good opponent and he's a decent fighter. So what about him versus Marku?
I don't think Marku would take it.
No,
this is the problem. I don't think these guys are going to go out there. They saw what he did to Congo. They're not going to, I don't think they're not going to really rush out to fight him.
Yeah. Well, what about Congo rematch versus Mckinson? But then Mckinson is probably looking at it that he's on the verge of a senior title, a European or a world title shot.
Well, you know who's
he's probably going to look European. I've beaten already.
You know who's the European belt holder, don't you?
Who's that?
Avanesian.
Right. Yeah, man, it's a stacked division. And then
maybe that's the route to go. Obviously, Avanesian's with Queensberry, so it'd be hard to. He'd have to concede and have to he'd have to fight on their show. But I reckon Mckinson would definitely do that.
Yeah, Mckinson looks like one of those guys have gloves travel anywhere. But he'd have his work cut out against Avanesian, I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
What about Mckinson versus Josh Kelly, who's making a comeback, isn't he?
Is he come back at like 154 though?
Oh yeah, I heard he might go up to 154. Yeah.
I think Avanesian, man, that carries the same level of threat. Well, not the same level, but it carries a serious threat. Where someone like Avanesian, I'd love that fight. Actually, the more I think about it, I'd love to see that. I would love to see that.
I think that's the route that Mckinson should go down because, like, if you're going to get in there with Virgil Ortiz, who's a bit of a killer by all accounts, then Avanesian's not quite at the level of a Virgil Ortiz, but he is a very good fighter and he has a senior title. So if Mckinson could win a European title, that would almost definitely secure him a world title shot. But that division's stacked, man. I mean, there's some very good fighters in there, you know what I mean?
Very good fighters in there.
Banionis, Virgil Ortiz, Boots Ennis, Rashidi Ellis, and the list goes on. You know what I mean? So, or maybe he might land a title shot out the blue. So, for example, Terence Crawford's looking for an opponent. You might get that call. Isn't it? I've seen worse.
Yeah. WM said here, Mckinson is massively underrated. I think he is a 174-pound version. Sorry, I think he is a 147 version of Billy Joe in his prime.
Well, I wouldn't put it that level, to be honest. So I don't think he's as talented as Billy Joe Saunders. But he is underrated, definitely.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't have him up there with a Billy Joe Saunders, to be honest. Not yet, anyway. He's got to do more.
He's still young. Yeah. He's still young, man. Time's on his side, so we'll see.
What I would say he's very tough, very dedicated, like I said before, he's got a very good mindset. Seems like he'll fight anyone. And when he goes in there, he'll give it his best. So guys like that are not always easy to beat. And he's probably one of those guys, if you underestimate him at your peril.
Yeah.
You underestimate a guy like that, and next week you're 3-4 rounds down and struggling to work him out. So,
yeah. We'll see. We'll see, man. Listen, we're going to wrap it there anyway for the week.
okay.
Another very good show, as usual. You managed to pull through 1 hour, 25 minutes. You know what I mean? Despite testing positive for COVID, man, you're still here. So,
Still here, man. Still here. Still fighting that. But yeah, listen, man.
How are you feeling now? How are you feeling with it all now?
Listen, I'm not going to lie and say I feel great, because I don't. I still feel like I've got a little bit of the chills going on. But like I said, the last time I had COVID, I felt a lot worse than this. So I'm hoping that in the next couple of days, I start to make a slow but sure recovery, and maybe by the weekend or Monday, early next week, I'll be back out. So yeah. I'm going to test myself again over the weekend, maybe Sunday, and see how I go. But yeah, at this present moment in time, I would say I feel really good, bouncing off the walls, but I'm not too bad either.
Okay. Well, listen, I'll let you get your rest. Shout out to everybody in here, man, that managed to last all the way through. Thank you very much to everyone who left comments. Hit the like button on the way out if you haven't already. Big up all of you guys, man. I really appreciate you contributing to the show. It means a lot, trust me. Thank you all. We'll be back next week as usual. Stay locked into the channel for more videos throughout the week. And Laurie, I'll let you close it out, man.
Once again, thanks, Darryl, for allowing me to indulge my passion on the show, particularly so this week, given my health issues at the moment. But listen, man, I really enjoyed it. And thanks to everybody out there for watching. And definitely see you next week, when hopefully be in a much better place health-wise.
Big up to you all, guys. We'll catch you guys very soon. Peace out.